1300 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Ali Ahmed. First, the headlines. Federal Cabinet meeting is underway in Islamabad with Prime Minister in the chair to discuss overall political and economic situation of the country. Foreign Minister has left for Kenya on a two-day visit to participate in Engage Africa conference. Occupied Kashmir President People's Democratic Party Mehbooba Mufti has expressed the hopes that resolution tabled in the European Parliament against lockdown in Kashmir and controversial Citizenship Act will be followed up with sanctions on India. In Afghanistan, 9 policemen were killed when Taliban stormed a security checkpoint in Baghlan province. And now's the news in detail. Meeting of the Federal Cabinet is underway in Islamabad with Prime Minister Imran Khan in the chair. The meeting is discussing overall political and economic situation of the country. Foreign Minister Shah Qureshi has left for Kenya on a two-day visit to take part in Engage Africa conference as part of the government's policy of economic diplomacy. In a video message before departure to Kenya today, he said, "We are moving ahead on economic diplomacy by using it as a principle in the foreign policy." The foreign minister said the Foreign Office of Pakistan is organizing Engage Africa conference in Kenya to enhance trade and investment in the African continent. The minister said advisor on commerce Abdul Razak Daud will chair the conference and a delegation of about 100 businessmen from Pakistan will accompany him. He said important personalities of the business community in African countries have also been invited to the conference with an aim to increase the volume of trade and investment with the African countries. Shah Qureshi said he will call on the president of Kenya and also hold a meeting with his Kenyan counterpart. As many as 8,608 Pakistani prisoners have been released from overseas jails due to the efforts of Prime Minister Imran Khan. According to details, 2,020 prisoners were released from Saudi Arabia, 3,023 from United Arab Emirates, 1,500 from Malaysia, 668 from Iraq, 106 from Qatar, and 113 prisoners were released from Kuwait. Meanwhile, 2 special planes have been sent to Malaysia for bringing back the Pakistani prisoners. Naval Chief Admiral Zafar Mahmood Abbasi paid an official visit to Sri Lanka and called on Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. He also held meetings with the chiefs of Sri Lankan armed forces and officials of the Ministry of Defense. Matters pertaining to their mutual interest and promotion of bilateral maritime cooperation were discussed during the meetings. Admiral Zafar Mahmood Abbasi highlighted the Pakistan Navy's resolve to eliminate maritime terrorism and ensure maritime security in the region. On arrival at the headquarters of the Sri Lankan Armed Forces, the naval chief was presented the Guard of Honor. The naval chief also visited different Sri Lankan naval installations where he was briefed on operational preparedness. In occupied Kashmir, People's Democratic Party President Mehbooba Mufti has expressed hope that resolution tabled in the European Parliament against lockdown in Kashmir and the controversial Citizenship Amendment Act will be followed up with the sanctions on India. In a tweet, she said that she will be relieved to see the European Union Parliament pass resolution against communal act and brutal lockdown in Kashmir will be followed up with the sanctions. She said Indian government's actions are frittering away all of India's assiduously earned soft power. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has forced to cancel his visits to the country's troubled northeastern state of Assam for the second time in less than 2 months, owing to the raging agitation against the controversial Citizenship Act. Earlier, the Assam State Cabinet took stock of the situation and decided to recommend cancellation of the Prime Minister's visit. In Afghanistan, 9 policemen were killed and 3 others went missing when Taliban stormed a security checkpoint in Baghlan province. In China, the death toll from coronavirus has risen to 106, More than 4,500 people have also been infected since emerging of virus in the country. The United States and Iraq have condemned the recent rocket attack on the U.S. embassy in the Green Zone of Baghdad. The condemnation was expressed by caretaker Iraqi Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi and U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo while talking over the phone. The caretaker Iraqi Prime Minister stressed the need of peace in the region, saying that all parties should respect Baghdad's sovereignty and refrain from interference in its internal affairs. The U.S. Secretary of State pledged his country's readiness to hold serious discussions on the presence of foreign forces in Iraq and cooperation to achieve Iraqi sovereignty. In Algeria, 2 pilots have been killed when an aircraft crashed in an unpopulated area in Bouake province. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analysis, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk. Also watch live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.